What's up, sisters and friends? Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you're having a great start to your week, but it is about to get so good because I have two legends in the house today. I have my mom and my grandmother. Some of everyone's favorite podcast episodes we record are with these two ladies, and we're actually going to be talking about relationships. Last time I did a full, long-lasting relationship podcast, I had Uncle Si, Uncle Alan, and Dad, which surprisingly was so good. I shouldn't say surprisingly. But, you never know what you're going to get with them.
That is true.
This one won't surprise me if it's so good because y'all are both such good people. Uncle Si is a questionable character, but they had a lot of good advice, and I know y'all will too. But before we get into that, I made a big announcement on social media last week that we're pregnant.
Yeah, we're so
Family's
excited.
growing.
So happy.
I know.
So exciting.
I guess it would be funny to share how I told the two of you because y'all were the best reactions.
I was shocked. I will say I was shocked. Yeah, I had
I'm
no
surprised you're
idea.
shocked.
I had no idea, which Honey had been saying that,
Well, we
that
haven't
my
even
mommy has
shared that
baby in her
anywhere.
tummy.
Yeah, I haven't even
you haven't
told that
told about
story.
that?
No.
Okay.
Like Honey has been, so back in October, Honey started telling everybody that I had a baby in my tummy, so much so that like we went into a coffee shop that's like our local coffee shop. Everyone goes there and everyone that we knew was in there. And she was like, my mommy has a baby boy in her tummy. And I was like, what? And everyone's like, you do? And I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. And it was because it was so specific. It was like a boy and I was like,
3-year-olds say things. So I totally just was like, oh, Honey's just saying that. Did not think anything about it.
She wasn't just like saying it. She was like announcing it. And then she told Lydia, some of my best friends, she was like, my mommy has a baby boy in her tummy, but don't tell her I told you. Like, it was so convincing. So then all my friends thought I was pregnant, but just weren't asking me. But I wasn't pregnant at the time. And then she told another friend's mom that I was pregnant. Like, she told so many people. So all these people have been waiting on my announcement when I actually wasn't pregnant. And then later on, actually did find out I was pregnant, which was such a shock, but great shock, but we were totally surprised. And so, this season of our life has just been so crazy and so full with filming and all the things that come with that. And that wasn't necessarily our timeline or plan that we thought we were going to have a baby. So I was just like totally overwhelmed and thinking, how am I going to tell my family that I'm pregnant right now?
Okay,
I was mostly nervous to tell Mom because I knew you would be so excited, but the show has been so much.
Know how busy we all are right now and how busy you are right now. Yeah.
And whenever I found out, I knew I was going to, because you can track things, I was like, whoa, I'm due 2 weeks before LO conference, which we'll talk about later. But everything was hitting me like, whoa, this is the craziest timing. This is so insane. Oh my gosh. How am I going to tell everybody that I'm pregnant? Because they're going to be so surprised. I'm so surprised. So I waited a few days. We would film every single day. I would see everybody. And I didn't.
And you don't normally wait.
I don't wait a second. When I found out I was pregnant with Haven, I FaceTimed my mom to tell her, and I was literally 5 minutes down the road, which I do regret. I wish I would have driven over to your house, but I couldn't even wait. And so then Bella's been making fun of me because I waited to tell you and Mom, and then she's like, 5 days. I'm like, 5 days more than I thought I was going to wait. I can't hold a secret like that, especially because we were together every single day. And I was just trying to act like my whole life was not about to totally change, although it was totally changing. I just remember whenever I told you, I was super anxious because life is so crazy right now. So tell you I'm pregnant and you about fell on the floor. You're like, what?
I just about fell on the floor.
You did
I was
not see that
shocked.
coming.
I did not. I'm so excited. Obviously, I cannot believe you're about to be a mom of 3, and any time a baby comes is the perfect time.
Yeah.
But yes, I had no idea.
And you helped me so much, though, because I was so nervous and felt so overwhelmed. And you kind of just need one person to say to you, especially your mom, this is such great news. This is amazing. You're going to be the best mom to 3 and it's all going to be okay. And it's okay that it's at conference time. It was all the encouragement I needed.
Oh,
and I knew those things, but I just needed someone else to say it too. And then when I told Two Mama, it was so funny because Two Mama was going with me to this little appointment we have for Haven.
And I had literally just told somebody had asked me, is Sadie going to have a baby soon? And I was like, no, they are waiting. I think she wants the girls to be like 4 and 5 before that even happened. So I had just literally like the day before told somebody. So that was just all in my head. That I had done the right thing.
Well, for the record, I had just told everybody that like a week before. Christian's parents were asking us about like when we're gonna have a third. I was like, oh, we want to wait a few years. Like we want to wait till they're in school and all this stuff, and I need my body to recover and all this talk. Meanwhile, God's like, yeah, we'll see about that. Good story. And so anyways, when I told Two Mama, I was like, hey, like I need to film something for the show. So can you record this while I'm driving? And Two Mama's like, record. We had to put this in the podcast. She's like recording and I'm like, oh yeah. So Two Mama has no idea that I'm pregnant. And you're like, what? Hey, we're going to Jackson. Little girl's day, but making sure Haven's all good. She's back there.
There's that little sweetie. Hey, Haven.
And Two Mama's going with me because the boys are busy, and I figured this would be a really good time to tell Two Mama that I'm pregnant.
What? No, you're not. Are you what? I cannot. Am I supposed to be really taping this?
And it's so funny. She's like,
total shock.
So
yes.
You're like, are we really supposed to be filming this for the show? And I was like, no.
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing?
That was
I'm so confused.
It
was so exciting. And I'm, how we are here. It's another one. We're excited. We love it. There's God's timing is the perfect timing. And when this baby comes, it's going to be the perfect time.
That's right. So how many great grandkids does this make?
Well, this will make, we've got one coming in June and then this one. And so that will be 12.
Whoa.
So far, like my grandkids, I've got 7 boys and 7 girls. I'm one of 6, 3 boys, 3 girls. I have, right now, 5 great-grands and 5 boys and girls.
Wow.
And then the one coming in June is a boy.
Oh, man. So that would mean this would be a girl.
The pressure is on.
Okay, that is crazy.
Oh, either way, we're going to be so excited.
Yeah, either way, but that is interesting.
It's interesting.
We do kind of even it all out.
We always
that's
even.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Okay, wow, 3 girls, but who knows? We'll see.
We did have 3 girls in 1 year.
Mm-hmm. But
Holland,
the boys,
Haven, and Ella. Wait. Holland Haven.
No, sorry, you're saying it wrong.
I'm sorry.
Holland, Honey, and Ella.
Yes.
Holland, Honey, and Ella were all in 1 year.
Right.
So maybe this will be the boy year.
We'll see. Wow, this is so crazy, but we're so excited. Okay, so this episode is about relationships, and you guys both have some long-lasting marriages. Two Mama, how long have you and Two Papa been married?
We've been married 53 years. I know.
Two Papa would say.
That's a Two Papa move, but yes.
53 years.
It's crazy to think about. Crazy. It really is.
Mom, what about y'all?
We are 33 years.
Wow.
I haven't thought about that we're exactly 20 years. That's how I can always remember mine if I ask you yours, because I'm so bad about
Mom is really bad at remembering.
She's bad about that.
I'm also bad about my age. I'm like, wait, am I 51 or 50? How old am I? Yeah.
Which is a 20-year difference, too.
Yes, so I can know that, too.
That's awesome. Okay, so I have some fun questions for y'all. Okay, what is the thing that initially made you fall in love with your spouse? You got to think back 53 years.
I know. I have to think back a long time. But it's really not that hard because I had started going to this Christian camp. Some of y'all are familiar with that, Camp Chioka, because we talk about it a lot. So I'd started going to that camp. And I spotted this cute young man and his girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
And his girlfriend. My very first year. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I really don't ever have a chance with him because he's 2 years older. He's got a cute girlfriend and a good car. So that's probably it. So that was it. And back in those days, we didn't have any way to communicate. I mean, there was no Instagram. There was no Insta anything. So I did not go to camp the second year. But then the third year of camp, I went back. The first year, he didn't notice me at all. Not at all. Short hair, braces, glasses, about as big as a this microphone stand. And so he didn't notice me at all. So when I came back the third year, was a little bit older, had contacts, the braces were off. But he had
hair had grown out a little bit.
Hair had grown out, but he had a girlfriend still.
The same girlfriend?
And I had a boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
No, he had a different girlfriend, which seemed to be the story of his dating life. So, but he noticed me at least. We became friends that year. So he became part of my letter writing, crew. That's what you did in those days. You wrote letters. So the next December the 27th, I went to a camp reunion. He was not dating anybody. I wasn't dating anybody. And so
perfect.
The stars aligned. But from the beginning, what I loved about him so much, he didn't live in the town I lived in. I had to go 2 hours to camp. But I knew that he was just a godly young man, and he came from a good, godly family. That was important to me. I dated a lot in high school. I know.
You really did.
I dated a lot.
You'd be like, I would have a different day each night of the weekend.
I did. But I was like testing the waters.
It was a different time. You could do that, which I do think we should bring back some of that.
I wish you could bring that back. We could just go to the movie with somebody and that's it.
Get to know them.
Just get to know them.
Right, exactly.
So, but I knew from the ones that I'd been dating, they were all great guys. But what Johnny had was a love for God, a great family. He was super funny. Now, sometimes the things that you think are really funny when you're 18 are not that funny when you're 70. But he was super funny and just a great guy. So I just love being with him.
That's so sweet. I love that. Oh, I love that. One of my favorite things to do is spend time in the Word, taking notes, journaling, and getting to know Jesus more. And when I'm getting into the Word, my Mr. Pen supplies are always right next to me. Mr. Pen is a Christian company dedicated to designing and creating pens and highlighters specifically for your Bible, which is so amazing. Their highlighters are specifically made so that they don't bleed through those thin pages. And with over 100,000 5-star reviews on Amazon, it is easy to see why they're the most popular Bible products out there. So whether I'm studying, working on a new message, or just taking some notes in a sermon, Mr. Pen has me and my Bible covered. I love all of the different products. One, their pens actually are amazing because they don't bleed through. But two, I love their sticky notes, their little Bible tabs. They just have incredible things. And if you are like a highlighter girl, then you're going to freak out because they have all the colors and so beautiful, and it doesn't bleed through the paper. So stock up on your Mr. Pen Bible journaling supplies today. Visit sadiepens.com and be sure to check out my favorites. That's sadiepens.com to get all of your Mr. Pen Bible journaling supplies. You will be so glad that you did. Mom, what made you fall in love with Dad?
Well, we met at the same summer camp, as a lot of people know. They know our story. But fourth grade, I saw him across the way, and I remember thinking he was really cute, even that young. He had these great dimples. He didn't have a beard yet.
Dimple reference.
Great dimples and smile. Yeah, it's actually, you can see it.
Exactly my
It's pretty much
smile.
your face. Yeah, in a boy form. He was so cute, and he was funny even then, even as like a fourth grader. He was funny. And then a few years later, he actually started coming to our youth group. They went to like the little country church, and we went to the city church, which, in West Monroe, Louisiana. But anyway, he started coming to our church and kind of joined the youth group. And he was so cute and so fun and funny and just on fire for the Lord. I mean, when he and Jace joined our youth group, it just became dynamic. People started coming, and it was exciting and fun because they were always sharing the gospel with people and inviting people. So he had this like charisma that drew people to him.
And it was at our house.
Right. So, the youth group was at our house every Sunday night.
So he was there with, literally 100 kids.
Wow, because you were the youth leader.
I was one of the youth leader helpers, volunteers at that time. And so every Sunday night they were at our house, and we just thought he was the funniest, cutest thing, and loved the Lord. And
y'all didn't date from fourth grade on.
No. So we kind of liked each other off and on through high school, different, or middle school, even in high school, but it just never, the stars did not align. Yes. He dated all my friends, and we went to different schools.
Not only did he date all your friends, he told you as his youth leader he was going to marry
all of my friends. Yes, exactly.
Everybody he dated, he would say, I'm going to marry that one.
Willie's like, he goes all in on anything, a sport, a game, a relationship,
It's true.
whatever
Let
it
me
is.
just point out, like, if you think out there that you dug too deep of a hole, you can't dig too deep of a hole as to telling your future mother-in-law that you're gonna marry every single one of your future
Exactly.
wife's friends.
Yeah,
Like,
that's pretty
he
much.
had dug a pretty deep hole.
He had,
to
yes,
climb out of.
he had. So he's very
He
passionate.
had those dimples. He was so
It was
cute.
so cute. He'd win you back over, yes. But there was a point where he asked me out, and I said no because he had dated one of my friends, and I didn't think he treated her very well, and so I was mad at him. And he sent someone to ask me. He didn't ask me directly. He sent someone to ask me if I would go on a date, and I just said no. And he says he remembers this guy, a friend of ours, his name was Jimmy. Jimmy goes back to him and he said, "What'd you say?" And Jimmy says, she said no. And he was like, just like, no? He just said no because, well,
The girls
was
didn't
cute.
tell him no.
Exactly. So I think that left a mark. So then I actually was the one who called him when we started dating because I had rejected him, a couple of years before. And then we had both dated other people and we saw each other at the mall. This so dates us. It's so funny. We saw each other at the mall and looked across the way. And I had heard that he had broken up with his girlfriend and I had just broken up with my boyfriend and I had just broken up too. And so we kind of see each other across the mall and we're like, Now it was just sweet. We both remember like that meeting. And so I called him because I had rejected him a few years before. So I knew I had to make the first move. And he called me back. And yeah, the rest is history.
That's so sweet. Yeah. So what was it that made you start to fall in love with him when y'all started dating?
When we actually started dating, I think, we were friends. That was a really special part. We were very young. We were 18 and 19, but we had known each other since 4th grade. So we were friends. We loved each other's company. We loved being together. We laughed a lot. And I think I knew that life with him would never be boring. And I thought it would be a fun adventure.
True.
Yes. Yeah. And it would be a fun adventure. And he was, like I said, he was on fire for the Lord. I knew that. I think our families, when you look at them from the outside, were so different, looked very different from the outside. But the core values were the same of faith, family, love for family, love to be around each other and each other's families, and generosity, hospitality, all of those core things that are really important. I knew were the same.
That's
I think it's funny how our stories are similar in that, she kept seeing Willie, because we called him Jess at the time, but it wasn't the right time, And same for me with Papa, I was like, well, he's got a girlfriend. But yet we married them at 18. So the Lord was like, you're not going to meet them any sooner than this.
Yeah, that's good.
that would have been too
I think
soon.
that's such an interesting point of y'all's story because I think that's the truth for most people's story. It has to be the right timing. I mean, Christian and I, Bella met Christian 2 years before I met Christian, but it would not have been the right time for me to meet Christian. And when we look back at our timeline, we were in the same place at the same time a couple of different times and never met, but it wouldn't have been the right time. But I think, and I didn't even know that. I didn't know we were in the same place. I didn't know of him, so I didn't have the urge to expedite the process or rush the process.
You weren't stalking him
like I was. I wasn't stalking him, but you were stalking, but not really. Stalking is different than stalking.
Right, it's different.
Stalking's oh, he's cute, he's a girlfriend.
Yeah, stalking then was looking around a tree at kids.
Stalking now is a way different thing. That is such a good point. Right, ain't nobody looking around a tree, okay?
That's right.
We're looking at every post you ever made from the past 4 years and who tagged you in it.
Yep.
And
when I say I called him, when I say I called him, it's like the home phone where his roommate took my number down on a piece of paper to give him to call me back.
See, that's it was such a different time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's really cool because you didn't have the resources to control it or manipulate it or rush it. And I think that if we didn't have the resources to do that, texting and Instagram messaging and Snapchatting, we might just be a little bit more patient with God's timing in our life. And so obviously you're not going to take away Instagram and Snapchat and texting, but let it be a lesson to you that if it's God's timing, rest in that and wait for that, because I think people do a lot of damage in trying to manipulate the
trying to speed up the process too, because you can speed up that process so much. I mean, there's something so different about getting a letter from somebody that you think you love and being able to process that letter and write them back with a thoughtful, then the quick Instagram.
It's like intentionality.
So it's, it is. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, so maybe we can bring back some of that. Okay, question. Do you, I wrote this down, like, are the things you love about your spouse now still the same as what you originally fell in love with? Or, and I mean, I know it's changed, obviously, it's been 53 years. Do you still see those same things in them now? And what has grown? Like, what about your love for them has grown in specific ways?
Well, I think I hope that you still see the same things that drew you to whoever you're married to. I certainly do with Papa because he's still crazy and silly and funny and will literally do anything. And I am so the opposite of that. Like don't do silly, crazy things and embarrass myself in front of everybody. And he will literally embarrass himself in front of an entire movie theater.
Oh my gosh.
So all of those things are still there, but then you gain so much more because then you see them as dads and grandfathers, and I'll cry if I say too much, but then you begin to see who they really are on the inside, not that outside. Like, he was super cute. I know y'all might not believe that, but
He's still cute.
Yeah.
He's still
he
cute.
was super cute and super funny. But beyond that, he then was a good worker and took care of us and loved the kids and, all those things.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So you have a list still of good things and bad things about anybody in your life. And you have to be careful not to let the bad list grow longer than the other one because you can nitpick little things.
Yeah.
But it's all those other things that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good to
gotta watch for.
I love that.
That's so good. Yeah, I would say yes. I mean, he's still funny. Life's never boring with him. He's still really passionate. He goes all in with what he does. He loves the Lord and loves to share the gospel with people. So all those things. Another thing I was thinking of when you said that, it like this image came to mind of him making me an omelet before school. This is my senior year when we started dating, and he cooked even then. And so he would make an omelet for me, and I would go over there before school, which I didn't get up early for anybody or anything. No. Mom can attest. So the fact that I would wake up
you were in love
early to go over there to eat his omelets, and he still, makes me omelets, or I'll be sitting in the morning doing my Bible reading, writing in my journal. And he's like, do you want an omelet? Or, do you want to make your breakfast sandwich? Or if he doesn't offer, I'm like, you thinking about making a breakfast sandwich? He's like, sure. And every time he's like, yeah, I'll do it. He's always ready to make me a sandwich or an omelet or feed me in some way, take care of me in some way. So all those things are still the same. Mm-hmm. And then, like Mom said, things grow, things you don't know or you don't see. And also there's a lot of ways that he's changed and grown in really good ways, like refined. It's just like I've grown and changed, and there's things about me that have refined, that God's refined in me. I think that, sometimes we talk about people don't change, and there's an aspect of who you are as your personality and those traits. But there are things that God really does change in your life, and those are things that are the fruits of the Spirit. That's and good. Those are the things that can change and grow and really, it's amazing how you get to see that.
It's really good. If you've been following me for a while, then you know that I'm all about kids' products that are actually good for them. So Haya came to the rescue with a super-powered chewable vitamin just for kids. Other children's vitamins can have like as much as 5 grams of sugar, as well as chemicals and additives, but Haya is made with 0 sugar and 0 shady ingredients. And it actually tastes great, even for my pickiest little eater, Honey. Haya fills the most common gaps in kids' diets to provide the full body nourishment our kids need, but might not get always. So pediatricians and nutritionist experts actually help design this formula for kids ages 2 and up. It's packed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, plus it's supercharged with essential vitamins and minerals like B12, zinc, folate to support their little immune system, energy, brain function, mood, teeth, bones, and so much more. And if you're getting tired of battling with your kids to eat healthy green vegetables, Haya also has your back on that. Haya now offers kids daily greens plus superfoods, which is actually a chocolate-flavored green powder containing more than 55 whole food ingredients designed specifically for kids. My sister Rebecca actually told me about this product because my daughter loves chocolate milk, and she was like, you have to get this for her. So you just have 1 scoop, shake it up, and serve with milk or any non-dairy drink to make it a little bit tastier for your kids who will actually want more of this. And it is a green supplement, y'all. It's amazing. My daughter absolutely loves taking her vitamins because she loves high products. So every night she's like, where are my vitamins? And they actually have a daytime and a nighttime vitamin too, just to make it a little bit more fun. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. You can actually receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you got to go to hiyahealth.com/whoa. This deal is not available on their regular website, so you have to go to Hiya Health, HIYAHEALTH.com/whoa, WHOA, and get your kids the full body nourishment that they need to grow into healthy adults. It's really cool because as you describe the things you fell in love with, I was smiling because I'm like, I see all those things in them now.
Yeah.
But then it's so cool because, of course, they've changed and grown just as, like you said, y'all have and we all do. And I think that's a really good point. Like, people say people don't change, but the whole gospel is centered around, like, you changing,
exactly.
like denying yourself and picking up your cross and like allowing Jesus to change your life and the Holy Spirit, and he will. And so that's so cool. This is kind of like a trendy thing right now where people say like, what's your ick? Like, what's your ick about your spouse? And it's like, which T-Mom has a lot of icks.
It's definitely a trendy thing.
It's like, what is something that your spouse does that's immediately just an ick? Like, Bella would say her ick about Dad is his Tim Tebow t-shirt. No offense, Tim Tebow, but it is bad. It's not a good look on him. It's like turquoise, tight, and
it's from a Tim Tebow golf tournament, and Jockey sponsored it. And so it's turquoise t-shirt, and it says show them what's underneath. And it's like a logo for Jockey underwear. And it's his so
favorite
bad.
Shirt.
He wears it. He slept in it last night. He had it on this morning. He wears it all the time. I actually washed it one time and it got like wadded up and like stretched. And I was like, oh, sorry. I think I messed it up. And he was like, oh no, I think it's still fine. And he saved it. And
now it's worse.
He still wears it.
Yeah, that would be an ick. What's something that is just funny that you're like, oh yeah, that's an ick?
That is a hard one.
I can go because Bella and
you go.
We've had this conversation, so I know, because at first I was like, what would that be? I don't know. What is it? And then I was like, Dad's travel habits.
Oh, yeah.
Airport travel habits.
That's an ick for sure.
He carries like so many, like, one, his backpack weighs a ton because he never cleans it out. It's just ridiculous. It's like so much stuff is just like spilling out of it. Then he carries like 3 different cups.
I was going to say
plus
6
a coffee.
Cups, like so much cups.
Yeah, like 3 different like travel cups.
That's hilarious.
Then a coffee. And then like tea under his other arm. So it's just like he's walking through the airport. It's just so jumbled and disheveled.
Not to mention, he always has his pants like hiked up, like a Delta blanket as like a scarf. And he's like,
sometimes it's just one leg.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like one leg
with his show him what's under his t-shirt, and he's stretching in public.
Yes, that is his public. Yes, and I'm like, like there are nicer like backpacks and like there are things. I actually bought him for Christmas a little like cup holder thing that you could put on your like rolling cart to maybe it'll get better. But anyway, and he leaves things everywhere. He just left yesterday. He was flying to Nashville and was like, Will sent me a video of him because running back to the car because he left his clothes in the car.
He left his whole bag.
He left his bag.
Christian was like, how do you do that? How do you leave your bag? Like, and not, he checked in, got on the flight, and realized he left his whole bag.
He had to run out of security and get back in. It's like, some things don't change. Yeah. That is exactly how he was.
That's a good one. Too. Mama, did you take it one?
I mean, this is like hard for me because it's been a lot of years. But I guess I'm just going to say, like, he has no fashion sense and doesn't care at all that he doesn't have any. At all. Now, when we were dating, he was like the coolest guy in town with the leather jacket with the fringes, and like he wore that hippie years. Yeah. But after that,
he never found himself.
After that. And so he just really doesn't care at all. And I'll try to like help him, and I've given up pretty much.
Well, it is funny because you're so fashionable, and so like you'll look like incredible, and he comes in his Hawaiian shirt, cargo, whatever, shorts, his little like shoes,
and no socks, and just some kind of shoes that he slips on with those horrible toes. I mean, it's like, yes. And
that's a good one.
Those are the things that you have to just like, you just have to love them in spite of themselves, because
he has a Hawaiian shirt with mom's face all over it that he loves, and it embarrasses mom every time he wears it.
And I never know when he's going to wear it, because I'm not with him. Then he comes to some event with this shirt with my face all over it. I'm like, what?
That is so funny. Okay, this is an interesting question. Does stuff about your spouse bother you more now or less now over the years? Like, because I feel like for me, even just 5 years in, I don't get like as annoyed about things as I did at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm 5 years compared to 50 years. What does that look like?
I think that's the same. I mean, I think things change. You're like, okay, that doesn't bother me anymore, but I've got something new.
There's always a new thing.
There'll be something else. But, I do think as the years go on, you learn to pick and choose what things are valuable enough to your relationship that you, one, they bother you, and two, you say something about it that they're not going to change. It's just going to be an annoying thing. So you finally just say, that's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I would say Willie's style, like he has his own style, and I just have to not care. Because
but he's always had a good style. He's not a two-papa style.
Well, sometimes. He goes through phases.
He has a
you
good
just
style
don't know.
when he like has to go somewhere publicly.
That's true. Yes, he does.
He does not have a good day-to-day style.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and
true.
you just don't know. Like he can just choose whatever. I mean, he went through this phase where he like got some like old clothes from some man who like passed away. His wife gave him all his old clothes, and he just loved them, like polyester pants and shirts and everything. And I'm just like, just let him be. That's just his thing. He wants to do it. It's just funny and fun, and I don't care. So style, and also like Willie does not like to be controlled. So if I tried to pick his outfit or like
worse,
then he would purposely wear the opposite because he would feel controlled by me. So that is like, something you just kind of have to give up.
That is so
Another
true.
thing he does do that used to drive me crazy, and now I'm just like, I just it doesn't take me time. He leaves every cabinet door open.
I knew you were going to say that.
Like when he cooks, which he does all the time, which is amazing, every cabinet door is open. His bathroom, we have these like like a mirror that all the things were behind. We call it like a medicine cabinet mirror. He just leaves it up. He just does not ever close a cabinet or a door. But it's one of those things that I'm like, okay, it takes me, just a few seconds to just come behind him and close them. So used to, I would kind of like be like, hey, try to get him to close cup. No, I feel like
that's a good one because I do remember that annoyed you for so long, and then you're like, okay, I'll just do it.
Yeah,
like you have to just some things you just have to be like, okay, that's not gonna happen. I'll just do it. It's okay.
Close the cabinets.
That's good. Right. So y'all mentioned how there will be like seasons of things. Like, okay, this bothered me for a while, then it doesn't. Or this outfit was terrible, then he got off that kick. Like there's just like
I found a picture the other day, and Johnny had a shirt on that he was wearing recently, and I said, look, this is 23 years ago.
You're like,
you have on the same shirt.
Might be the time.
That's the time.
It is time.
Some things make it longer than others. Some things are little waves, some things are tidal waves.
Yes.
But like, okay, talking about just going through hard times of life. You know how people are always saying, it's biblical, like don't let the sun go down when you're angry. And I feel like whenever you first get married, it's like very literal. You're like, I cannot go to bed angry. We have to resolve everything. Like you have to, which is a really good thing. But then like over time, like there are certain things or problems or things you're walking through in your marriage. It's like, it can't be resolved in a day. Like it's gonna take time. Can you speak to just times of your life where like a season lasted a years? Like how do you walk through that and like still being in love with your spouse, like pursuing your spouse, but like going through a time that's just really hard and knowing it time is what it's going to take until you get to a better place? Like what does that look like?
I think you pretty much kind of said it with all that, because there are times you're married, especially for somebody who's married 53 years, that there were like, if you say don't go to bed, you would have been up for days, never gone to sleep, because you can't solve some things that quickly. But you can still go to bed with the resolution that we love each other, nobody's going anywhere, we've got these kids we're raising, tomorrow we'll figure that out. You can always do that. I think where people get in trouble is when they don't say that. They say, I don't know if we can work this out. Divorce is on the table.
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow. You know. So, yes, there's going to be some seasons that there's some issue that y'all are just not figuring out. And it's not going to happen overnight. But you can still say, but we will figure it out.
Yeah, that's good.
We are resolved to figure it out.
That's really good. One thing that people love so much about Duck Dynasty was that parents could trust our show to be clean and fun for the entire family. I absolutely love that so many people out there trusted us to entertain them in a positive way, and I'm always looking for ways that we can watch wholesome content for my kids to enjoy. And that is why I love and trust the Minnow app. Minnow is the top provider of Christian kids and family content in the world. Their faith-based, value-driven shows make them a great partner for parents who want to support and develop their child's faith and curiosity about God. Guiding our kids towards a relationship with the Lord is one of the most important things as a parent that we can do, and I'm so thankful that Minnow makes it a lot easier and more fun for our family to watch things. Minnow shows and devotionals cover tons of topics that will keep your kids engaged while filling up their minds with what matters the most. They've got some great shows like The Dead Sea Squirrels, Laugh and Grow Bible, and VeggieTales. It is perfect for family movie nights, sick days, or just when you need some downtime. We love the Minnow app so much. We've found so many shows that we love. We love the Young David series. We've loved God's Greenhouse. There's just so many great ones that my kids love that you can't really find anywhere else. And then, of course, they have the classics too. So go visit gominnow.com to start your free trial today. Plus, if you use the code WHOA, W-H-O-A, to get your first month free, hey-o, don't miss that. This is a web-only exclusive offer, so make sure you sign up at gominnow.com and use the code WHOA to get your first month for free.
I think that's it. I think the word hope to me is like so important in any relationship. It's like there's hope that things will get better and things will, and whether God's working on you or whether working on him or working on y'all together, that just that hope that like, okay, things are going to get better at some point. Whenever in a marriage or a relationship or anything, when you lose hope and you're like, this is never going to change. And I just think that is, I always tell this story, I've told it on your thing before, about being in a therapist's office and saying, I kind of said it offhandedly. I'm like, oh, it feels hopeless. And she just stopped me. She was like, no, like you serve a God of hope. Nothing is hopeless. And so I do think that like some people can get, when you get trapped in that where you're just like, oh, this is it. This is all this marriage is ever going to be. He's never going to change. I'm never going to, like, we're never going to be in love again, or we're never going to feel this way again. That's the beginning of the end, you know? So if you can just say like, nope, like this is not how it's meant to be. Like my marriage, God wants me to be in a great marriage, and I can be in a great marriage with this person. Yeah. Like this, it's not that that this is perfect right now. It's not that, but it's that like, yes, God wants us to have a great marriage. And yes, that can happen. It doesn't look like it right now. It doesn't feel like it right now. I don't know how. I don't have any idea how this is going to be, but I have hope that it can be, because I believe in the promises of God. I've made a commitment to this person, and all the reasons why I need to stay in this are there. And then God just miraculously works it out. I mean, literally, it is that way. I mean, yes, there's hard things. There's steps you have to take. Go to get counseling. Talk, do the hard thing. Do all the things that you need to do. Talk about, negotiate with your spouse. Yeah. Like, work on those things. Work on yourself. There's work to do, like, of your own work. But also, I just know in my life, I've looked up and been like, wait a second. That actually just got resolved, and you're like, it's not like it used to be. This has gotten better, or somehow this doesn't really seem like a big deal anymore. Or I was like, wow, he's actually changed that, or I actually changed that about myself. Yeah, and it does happen, but you have to give it time, and you can't give up, and you can't give up hope.
That's really good. I love what both of y'all said. And I think it's really cool thinking about like the heart posture you take, like not losing hope, going to bed, and like, yeah, you might have problems. Yes, you might have things you need to resolve, things that are going to take time, but going to bed with respect for your partner, going to bed with like a love, or, you know, because I love how that verse is like, don't go to bed angry at the believer. And it's like, that's a heart posture you're taking. So it's like, yeah, you might be angry about circumstances. You might be mad about what's happened. You might know that you need, but like making your heart posture, I'm going to choose hope.
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's right.
choose to say that we're going to work this out. And it's really cool to hear you say like, man, there are some times where it's like, you're surprised you made it through it. You're like, whoa. Okay, like, God, you're doing it. Like, we're walking through it, because that just shows that, like, yeah, times can get really hard. I know how you...
I was just thinking about that. You talked about that literal, don't let the sun go down. Like, if you think about that figuratively of like the sun going down on your anger is like this, like I put it here, and like, I'm just angry, you know, like if you don't take it as literally, like there's another way you can look at it. It's like God saying like, hey, don't just stay angry, you know, like know that there's going to be a new day and a new way to look at things.
That's really good. Yeah. One thing you said too, Mama, that I've heard you and your sister Jonelle say like all of our life is that like divorce is not an option. Like, don't put divorce on the table. So that like it's interesting, just because the friends, I have, you know, friends who are so young, and we're all walking through marriage and helping each other out, and that hasn't really been a thing for us. But then outside of our friend group, just people our same age, I've just heard that thrown out a lot, and I'm like, man, like that's so sad, you know, like it's so sad that these words are already being thrown out, and I've just been like, man, that would be so hard, because we've gone through hard times, but that hasn't been like a word, that hasn't been that hasn't been on the table. And I think like you guys have always told us like, don't put it on the table, you know. What is it like? Have there been times where y'all have felt like divorce would have been a lot easier, or felt a lot easier, but we stuck through it? Like, what does it look like to not let divorce be an option, but go through really hard times where it feels like divorce is the option, is what I'm saying.
Now, I don't know if I would say there were times that I thought divorce would have been easier, but there were definitely times when my kids were little, and my husband Papa had a very demanding job. Like there was no 8 hours. It was 12, 13 hours, and I had 3 little kids. There were plenty of times that in my brain I'm like, wait, I'm a single mom, but I'm married, you know. But so those kind of things can go through your brain. And what you have to do is quit saying that. You know, it's what we say to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I could do that. At night, I could be like at 7 o'clock at night, I'm getting everybody a bath. I've taken everybody to gymnastics. I've done all the things. We've done school, we've done homework. And then Johnny walks in, and it would have been, and probably on some days, I was angry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got to be at an office all day, and you know, had grown-ups around you and had adult conversation. But I watched a lot of my friends do this, and you go down that path too many days, then you're going to put divorce on the table, because divorce seems easier than what you're doing now. I've never really seen a divorce that's been easier than that. It's always hard. Life is hard at its best. It's just hard. And so you're trading one problem for lots of other problems, perhaps. But if you... I love how Korie was saying it. You've got God at the center of your marriage, and you just keep clinging to that, and every day will get better or different, or some other problem will take over from, you know, we had these little issues, and then Johnny had colon cancer. Well, everything else kind of took a back seat, because now we're dealing with stage 4 colon cancer.
Wow.
So when things like that hit you in the face, then like, okay, that little annoying thing that he does about telling me every little thing that he reads in the newspaper, you know, which is annoying.
It still does that.
And still does that and Googles everything. Okay, maybe that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Because God's seeing us through colon cancer.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's just we need to have a talk with ourselves and say, stop this.
Yeah.
You know, this is life. This is reality. Everybody's got problems. Nobody's marriage is any better. I mean, there may be better connections, I don't know. But everybody's dealing with the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So tell yourself, I gotta snap out of it.
Yeah. That's
You know?
really good.
That's kind of an old term from the 50s when your daddy would walk by and you're kind of pouting. He'd say, snap out of it. And you'd go, okay.
People might need to
We need
hear
to say
that.
that
We need
today.
to revive the snap out of it.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
really good. Well, I think
right.
that's been really helpful, like having a friend group. Like I mentioned, like I have a friend group, but we talk openly. But one of the things I really love about our friend group is everyone's so respectful of their spouse. Like you share
Yes.
things that you want to grow in more personally, or maybe some things you need prayer for, but it's like respecting your marriage too. And I feel like that's what I mean when I said I've heard people outside of that have conversations, and I'm like, man, like you're on a spiral. Like if you're talking like that, you are. Like divorce is on the table. Like I love how you said you spend a few more days like that and you get to those places. So snap out of it is really good advice. Yeah.
Well, I think that's something that you did a good job of like teaching us as we were growing up. And I hope that I taught y'all too, is like you are in control of your thoughts and the loops that your brain get is like you can stop those loops and you can change your patterns of thoughts. And whenever you get in that with if you allow yourself to get in that with your spouse of like a loop of all the things wrong and all the things, then, you can go down a road and spiral and like you said, get on the crazy train or whatever. But one of the things that I always find is helpful is remembering your story, and I think it's biblical. You see like the Israelites constantly like forgetting what God brought them through, forgetting the miracles, forgetting all the things. And that's something that we can do really easily. But remembering why you fell in love, telling that story to your kids, remembering the things that God has brought you through already in your marriage, remembering those special moments of when you had your babies, and talking about those good things and those good memories can get you out of that spiral of, oh, he's not doing this or this or that or that, and just look at it as a long haul. Another thing, Mom, I remember very specifically you telling me about some of your friends who were couple friends who you said talked about divorce at one point, and then they made it through, and then they're like the happiest married empty nesters there are. It's like, but they just had to make it through that hard time. And there was a time when they were like, as soon as these kids get out of the house, we're getting divorced because they didn't think they were going to make it. And then after the kids got out of the house, they're like, oh, some of our problems got solved miraculously, and now we're still together. And I remember you telling me that and thinking like, oh, I got to look at this as the long haul.
Exactly.
Look at what do I want in the future? Do I want Willie and I to be sitting together, playing with our grandbabies? Do I want us to be able to, have a life together forever, And so is it worth whatever this momentary thing that I'm going through so that I can have what I want in the long haul?
That's
and
really good.
Absolutely, every time,
That's really good. I love that.
I think if you're out there listening to us talk today and you've been divorced and you're dealing with this, I think there's ways that you can make that work too by putting your kids first and being strong leaders in your family and be kind to each other and speak kindness over each other and all those kind of things. So it can be done. So we're not saying this is the only way to raise great kids.
Yeah.
But certainly this is the way God intends it to be. If we step outside of that, God's still there for us, and He's still going to help us make it through.
Good. It's really good. I saw someone recently, and it was their anniversary, and they had hit a lot of years. It was close to y'all. Won't say the amount because I don't want to narrow it to their story. But whenever I said happy anniversary, thank you so much, I said, how do you do it? How do you make it that many years? And they said, just don't get divorced every day. Just make that decision. And I was like. It was kind of sad because I was like, that's a sad way to look at marriage. Like every day, just trying not to get divorced. It's like, do you love each other? Like, is there anything more positive you want to share? Like, okay. Like, it was just kind of negative. And they were probably just joking. But there's no like positive, like,
follow
I
up.
love them and we raised this amazing family and all this stuff. So I want to ask y'all, 53 years in, 33 years in, like, is it possible to continue to fall in love and like it still be sweet? Like you hold hands, not that it's like movie, but it's like you're actually in love. Like you enjoy your spouse.
Oh, I definitely think I think that's entirely possible, and even more so after the kids are gone.
Yeah.
If you can
Probably
get
probable.
if you can get through that. And I know those of you who have little kids, it just seems like eternity. Every day is like an eternity. But it does go by so fast. And you have to think about, I was telling John Luke this the other day, you have to think how many years you have after that. It's a long time.
It's crazy,
if you get to live a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, Korie got married when I was 38. I was really young.
Wow.
And so my last one got married when I was 42.
Wow.
So from 42 on, my kids were already married.
That's crazy.
God.
Yeah.
And that's really young. So, you know, you're going to have a long time. And that's why we say cherish the times when they're little, have your date nights, stay interested in the person, get to know them. It's so hard to not let everything be a focus on the kids, but you cannot let the kids be your total focus on your life. You just cannot. Now, when they're toddlers, you have to, because if you're not watching them, they'll die. But beyond that, you have to take care of your relationship because they are going to grow up and leave you as much as you don't want them to. When they get older, you're going to like, don't leave me, but they do. And then you have all those years left. So yes, you've got more time to fall more in love with that person.
Yeah,
That's so good.
Absolutely. And there's things that you do that you didn't do before. Like recently, Dad and I have been more on like getting to bed and watching a movie or watching a show together. And I mean, like for a lot of years, we haven't done that. He liked his shows and I'd read or I'd get in bed and watch my show or whatever. And now we're starting to find shows together and it's like, we get excited. Like, it's like, oh wait, is it 8:30? Should we go? Because we're old. We're like old people all of a sudden. And we never did that before. I mean, we used to always be up till midnight. We would doing other things or whatever. And now like literally like we're like, okay, is it time? Let's go watch our show together. And so like there's always new things you're going to find. I mean, that's something really little, but you'll find that you do together that you're like, oh, that's something like a long time ago that I might have wished we had done together, because I'd be like, oh, he won't come to bed when I want to go to bed or whatever. But I was like, whatever, that's how we did it. And then all of a sudden, like, we're doing that. And like, oh, that's so fun.
We do that too now, which we never did, because Papa never left his desk. He worked all the time. And now we find something on Netflix. We can't wait to go in and watch. We share that. Sometimes y'all are watching it. We'll all share what we're watching. And so, yes, I mean, there's going to be new things that come up. They change. You change.
It really is so interesting because, like, the other day, Christian and I were doing a, like, relationship Q&A. And someone said, like, what does a date night look like for y'all? And I looked at Christian and said, it's been a minute. And we were like laughing because we were like, oh gosh, it has been a long time. But then we were like, but that's just where we're at. Like we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old and we're filming, and like our nights are really important to be with the kids because I'm working, and like then the weekends we don't want to do anything because we're with the kids. Like, so we haven't done that often, but I was like, but we go to lunch together when we can during the day, and that's been like really sweet for us. But then
because of the nature of your work and like filming, you're with him.
Life is right now, but I'm with him all the time, which has been really sweet.
That's sweet.
And so we were like talking about that, and then I was thinking about how like you and Papa go on like so many dates, and like Cherie and Chandler right now, like, you know, they are empty nesters, like they're going on all these dates, and like you and Dad like spend so much time together, but like y'all are filming and y'all are in a crazy time, and it's like, and Dad cooks for you a lot, and y'all have like your at-home dates, which is really sweet. But it's like everybody's life just looks different and seasons look different, and so it's cool that like now y'all show is y'all's thing. And like for me and Christian, like we try to go to lunches. Like you do have to kind of just adapt with the times and where you're at, and not compare it to another season or another person, because it's just different, you know. But this has been like such a fun conversation. I honestly feel like everybody's gonna wish we had another hour, and I kind of do too, because it's just been so fun to hear like just the beauty of y'all's stories and all the good advice, but also like the honesty about the hard stuff. The last thing I want to ask y'all though is, a lot of people ask me in like DMs or question boxes, like, how important is it that you marry a godly man? Like, how important is it? Do we really, what does it really look like if we're unequally yoked? Like all those different things. And both of y'all said when you met Papa, when you met Dad, one of the things you fell in love with was that they loved the Lord. And when you got to the hard times of your life, the thing that you fell back to was the center of God in your relationship. Like, how important is it for people listening who are believers or look at this lifestyle and go, man, I kind of want that? How important has faith been in the role of y'all's relationships?
I think for us, of course, it's been the cornerstone.
Yeah.
I think back at some times when maybe we were having rougher times in our life, but we were still involved at church, working with the teenagers. Those are the things that would pull us back together, because every Sunday night the teenagers were at our house. We got to get it together, clean up the house and be nice. And not in a negative, bad way, but that helped us, that gave us a center of things that were going, when other things were going on around us, God was so much a part of our life, and that pulled us always back together. But I would never say that if you marry somebody who's not a Christian, he can't become that, because certainly that's such a testimony to stay with somebody and continue to love the Lord and bring them around. But if you have a choice, I would look for somebody who loves the Lord, because you start off with one plus in your plus side. You've got that.
Good. That's great. I love that.
I would say it's vital. I just think that it is so important, in our relationship. And also I think, because of that, there's that structure of marriage and what God had intended for marriage, and the way, and the commitment. I mean, we feel like we made an oath before God for our marriage. And if you didn't have that, I think when the tough times came, you'd be like, nah, why? Why stay? So I think the fact that, to marry someone that loves the Lord, I think is really important. Another thing too, I remember, it's something my aunt said at a women's thing. She said, "You're not your husband's Holy Spirit. He has one." And so, like, if your husband does not have the Holy Spirit working on him, then it's easy to give up hope, because like sometimes, like, you really want to be your husband's Holy Spirit. You want to be like the one saying, like, "Hey, you do this. You should do this, or don't do that," or like, "Hey, work on that." But if you know that he has the Holy Spirit inside of him and that God is working in his life, it's easier to be patient with them, to be like, okay, I'm going to let God do his work. I've got prayer. I can talk to God about it. And I can know that he's working in his life, because he does have the Holy Spirit inside of him. And I know that he's gonna work that out. I don't have to work that out. Yeah. And so I do think that's another just really important part of
it's really good
marrying someone who loves the Lord.
I love that. This is so good, y'all. This has been so good. Thank y'all so much for coming on and sharing your stories. It was so good.
Thank you for having us. So fun.
Come back.
Okay,
we will.
Anytime.